Good morning, all. Myself, Deepika, PhD scholar from MCM department. Today, I'm presenting my thesis results. My thesis topic is to investigate the pathophysiologic mechanism of anemia in cirrhotic patients. My supervisor is Dr. Anupam Kumar, and co-supervisors are Dr. Chagan Bihari and Dr. Rakhi Mahiwal. Anemia is a highly prevalent in cirrhosis, and its most common complication of liver cirrhosis is seen in 75% of cases. It is associated with the diverse and sometimes multifactorial etiology of cirrhosis. It is difficult to determine the exact cause of anemia in these group of patients. The most common anemia encountered in liver cirrhosis is normocytic normochromic anemia, attributable to the chronic inflammatory state. Suggestive cause of anemia are acute or chronic gastrointestinal hemorrhage, hypersplenism secondary to portal hypertension, impaired coagulation, aplastic anemia, which is characterized by the pancytopenia and hypocellular marrow, combination therapy for chronic viral hepatitis, interferon that induce the bone marrow suppression, and folic acid or vitamin B12 deficiency that can be frequently seen in cirrhotic patients due to the reduced intestinal absorption and the gut dysbiosis. Anemia due to chronic disease reduces the RBC production, shortening of RBC survival. It is the second most common cause of anemia after iron deficiency anemia, and it generally develops after 1 to 2 months of sustained disease. In inflammatory conditions, the inflammatory cytokines like interferon gamma, TNF alpha, IL-1 beta, IL-6, they are released from the activated monocytes in T cells, and they increase the hepcidin production inside the liver. This hepcidin inhibits the ferroportin, which is a pore present on the reticuloendothelial macrophages, and it is responsible for the release of iron from the macrophages. So if it is inhibited, then it limits the iron availability to the bone marrow. Also, these cytokines inhibit the erythropoietin release from the kidney and also inhibits the erythroid proliferation in the bone marrow. It also increases the hemophagocytosis in the bone marrow. So all these are caused by the chronic inflammation due to liver cirrhosis. There's another paper that published in Nature Clinical Practice in 2007 that says that alcohol can be directly toxic to the bone marrow, cause bone marrow suppression, and suggested by the pre-erythroblast vacuolation or sideroblastic changes. And it's a combination of poor nutrition, chronic inflammation, blood loss, liver dysfunction, and ineffective erythropoiesis. The mean corpuscular volume of RBC in these patients also gets increased because of the high intake of alcohol. Also, the ferritin level is raised by the inflammation of the liver, which can mask the decrease in ferritin that occurs with the iron deficiency. There is another abstract that published in 4th International Conference of Pathology in 2017. They analyzed the blood parameters and aspirate marrow in liver disease patients with different etiology on the basis of CT3 score. And the hematological parameters reveals that 40% found to have anemia, 38% leukopenia, and 53% are thrombocytopenic. Bone marrow examinations of these patients reveal that the anemic patients have erythroid hyperplasia in association with morphological signs of dyserythropoiesis, such as intererythroblastic cytoplasmic bridge and normoblast binuclearity. This is the published article from Albrecht from Dr. Chagan's group, a bone marrow dysbiosis associated with severe refractory anemia and liver cirrhosis. They study the bone marrow dysbiosis and its impact on peripheral blood count. It's an observational cross-sectional study. So they retrospectively collected the 604 bone marrow samples from 2011 to 2018, and they checked the dysbiosis changes. And they found that 13.5% of the samples shows the dysbiosis in the bone marrow precursor cells, and in which 75% dysbiosis was found in erythroid series. And they also found that erythroid hyperplasia was more in cases with dyserythropoiesis, indicating the ineffective erythropoiesis. So they conclude that bone marrow dysbiosis, especially erythropoiesis, is associated with the severe refractive anemia in patients with cirrhosis and requires new therapeutic approaches. So these dysbiosis in erythroid series, they again shows the erythroid hyperplasia. So in earlier observation, we found that erythroid hyperplasia found in cirrhotic patients' bone marrow, but still these patients shows severe anemia. Even though their bone marrow shows erythroid hyperplasia, increased number of erythroid progenitor, but still they having severe anemia. So the exact cause of this anemia is still unidentified. So there's another paper that published in Hepatology in 2016, again from Dr. Chegan's group, that says that with the increased severity of liver disease, there is an increased release of pro-inflammatory cytokines, toxic metabolites, oxidative stress, and a lot of things that suppress the bone marrow, disturb the bone marrow reservoir with the loss of hematopoietic niche and the hematopoietic stem cell. So this suppression of bone marrow and its function suggesting the bone marrow dysfunction, and it can relate and it can contribute to the bone marrow dyserythropoiesis. So let's see what is erythropoiesis exactly. Erythropoiesis is a vital, complex, lifelong process where hematopoietic stem cells proliferate, differentiate, and mature into red blood cells. Erythropoiesis is a continuous process that can be conceptually divided into early and late stages. So in early stage erythropoiesis, these cells proliferate more, and they don't go in maturation state. Maturation state starts when cells come in the late stage erythropoiesis. So the early progenitor cell of this erythropoiesis is blast forming unit erythroblast, and erythropoiesis begins from this cells. So this cell proliferate and differentiate into the colony forming erythroblast. So this is the early stage erythropoiesis that happens till proerythroblast. The same thing happened till the formation of proerythroblast. After the proerythroblast, there's some morphological changes happens in the cells, like reduction in the cell size, nucleus chromatin condensation, and also the some hemoglobin proteins also synthesis takes place. So increased hemoglobin synthesis begins from the basophilic erythroblast, and also that requires the increased iron uptake. From basophilic erythroblast, this differentiation process starts. Differentiation plus maturation. So differentiation starts from basophilic to the orthophilic erythroblast, and after that, it converts into reticulocyte. Reticulocyte forms when the cells expel their nucleus and other organelles to become a mature reticulocyte. And this reticulocyte then comes into the circulation, and after 1 to 2 days, it becomes a full functional RBC. So this is the normal process of erythropoiesis. So on the basis of previous literature and study, I hypothesized that altered bone marrow response may cause dyserythropoiesis, leading to anemia in cirrhotic patients. My key questions are, does the number of RBC precursor cells in the bone marrow of cirrhotic patients changes with respect to severity of disease? What are the intrinsic and intrinsic factors responsible for the maturation defects in erythroid precursors and to alleviate severe anemia? Does the cirrhotic environment affect the maturation or proliferation of erythroid precursors? Aim to study the potential role of dyserythropoiesis in development of anemia in patients with liver cirrhosis. My objectives are, objective 1 is to find the status of erythroid progenitor cells in alcoholic chronic liver disease, cryptogenic NASH chronic liver disease, and non-cirrhotic liver disease used as a control, and their association with the anemia. Objective 2, to assess the erythropoiesis stimulating agent and inflammatory stress in bone marrow as well as in the peripheral blood of cirrhotic patients. Objective 3, to study functional competency of the cirrhotic and non-cirrhotic bone marrow hematopoietic stem cell in their differentiation to erythrocytes in vitro. And the last objective is to study the effect of cirrhotic bone marrow plasma on the differentiation of the hematopoietic stem cells into erythrocytes in vitro. My study is a cross-section study. My sample is bone marrow and peripheral blood. Bone marrow, the remaining portion of the sample of the bone marrow obtained for clinical diagnosis was used for the research. My subjects are, study groups are 2 with control, like alcoholic cirrhosis. Second group is NASH cryptogenic cirrhosis and with non-liver disease control. So proposed patient was 30 in disease and 10 in control, but till now I enrolled 16 in disease and 3 in the disease control group. My inclusion criteria, age, I included the people, patients with between 18 to 75 years, male and female, both the genders are included. In group 1, patient with CLD with anemia, hemoglobin in non-pregnant women 18 years of age and above less than 12 gram per deciliter, and in men it is less than 13 gram per deciliter. For group 3, patient without any liver disease in whom bone marrow was done as a diagnostic test to rule out the possibility of infiltrative or infective pathology but found uninvolved. In exclusion criteria, I excluded the patient who have any vitamin B12, folate or iron deficiency, any autoimmune diseases, hypothyroidism, hepatocellular carcinoma, or taking drug that cause microcytosis, any kind of infection, hepatitic infection, HIV infection, any Wilson disease or viral disease, or also excluded the patient that refuses to give consent. Post-liver transplant patient with uncontrolled sepsis, and patient with ongoing active bleeding. So according to my objective 1, I take the bone marrow samples from the alcoholic cirrhotic NASH cirrhosis and the healthy non-liver disease healthy control. And from the bone marrow, I took 60 microliter of the sample and did flow cytometry to check the stages of the erythropoiesis, and also estimated the CD34 hematopoietic stem cell level in the bone marrow. So here, this is the normal erythropoiesis process, which I discussed earlier. To check this process, I used 2 markers. This is CD71. This CD71 is a transferrin receptor marker that appears on the early erythroid progenitor cells. But when the progenitor cells go into the maturation state, they start showing CD235A marker, which is a glycophorin A. So I take the bone marrow and did FACS analysis. So this is the picture of flow cytometry result that shows the presence of number of erythroid progenitor according to their expression of marker. So the cells that showing only CD71 positive, like early erythroid cells, they will lie here. The cells that are in mid stage of maturation, means like in differentiation, they will show dual positivity, and the cells that are fully mature reticulocyte, they will appear here and will show CD235A marker only. This is the demographic profile of my patients. The 16 patient in each disease group, I characterized these patient group based on to the MELD score. So on CLD alcoholic, MELD 10 to 20, I enrolled 6, and in more than 20, I got 10 patients, but my patient did not lie in MELD 0 to 10, so it's vacant. And CLD NASH, I have all the 3 categories of, MELD. So 3 patients in MELD 0 to 10, MELD 10 to 29, and more than 20, I have 4 patients. In control, I have 3. So the hemoglobin levels are low, as told you earlier, below 12 for the females and below 13 for the males. And you can see the erythroid numbers comparative to the control are high in both the disease group. Also, you can see that most of the patients' bone marrow shows erythroid hyperplasia in each MELD of in each group of different MELD score. So this is my objective one result. I found in the CLD alcoholic group, I found that hemoglobin level decreases with the increased severity of liver disease. From, you can see here from control, the MELD 10 to 20 and MELD more than 20 patients, hemoglobin is significantly less as compared to the control. Also, the CD71 positive cells, which is early progenitor cells, their number is also less with the increased MELD score. So, and the dual positivity cells showing also a decreased pattern with the increased severity of disease. But the CD235A showing marker cells, their number was found to be increased in both the MELD group, like 10 to 20 and more than 20 as compared to control. It means the progressive disease, there is a progressive decrease in the progenitor cells, but the number of mature erythrocytes are increasing. So it is likely to be a erythroid hyperplasia, you can say. So mature erythrocytes are increasing, but their progenitor, they are decreasing with the severity of disease. The same thing I found in the CLD NASH. The hemoglobin level, CD71 positive cells and dual positive, they all are declining, but the terminal matured erythroid reticulocyte cells, they are increasing with the severity. Interestingly, I found that number are increasing, but the intensity of the marker over the cell surface, they are declining. Like this is, you can see the control marrow showing the highly intense expression of the marker, which is appropriate expression of the marker over the cells. So they are shifting towards the right here. But and the hemoglobin level of this control is normal. But in the same case, in the CLD patient, this is the profile of male patient with HB 12.5. You can see the pattern is like similar, but the intensity of the marker over the cells, they are declining because the cells are shifting towards the left. So intensity getting dim as the hemoglobin level concentration going down. You can see in 11.1, there again the number of cells you can found is increased from 12.5 patients, HB patient, but the intensity of marker again going decreasing. Same with the HB9, HB10, and hemoglobin 6.4. So they are shifted to the left side that shows the decreased expression of markers, but the number of cells that carrying the maturation marker is increased. So increased severity of anemia. Number of erythroid cells expressing 235A marker will increase, but they're showing the less intensity of the marker over the surface. CD235A, it's a glycophorin A protein. It's a sialic-rich glycoprotein, and it's attached with the band 3 protein in the lipid bilayer membrane of the RBC. The band 3 the function of this band 3 protein is to is an anion exchanger. So it exchanges anion against the bicarbonate ions. So the function of this glycophorin A is to provide the negative charge over the cell surface. So you can see if the expression of this marker over the cell is decreasing with the severity of disease, it means the negative charge over the cell surface will also go down. And we know that if the negative charge will, and this negative charge actually reduce the interaction of cells from other cells. So if negative charge get down, then interaction will happen. Like this is the normal RBC with normal negative charge over the surface. So if the expression of this marker reduced, the negative charge will also get reduced, and will these RBC then form a clump, and this clumping then leads to RBC lysis. And we know that RBC lysis is happening more in cirrhotic patient as compared to the normal person. I also calculated the reactive oxygen species level in the individual CD71 positive and CD235A marker pairing positive cells. So I found the significant increase of ROS level in the disease group as compared to the control. So you can see here, this is the control CD71 cells and CD235A cells. So the percentage of the ROS in these are 32.4 and 36.5, where the cirrhotic profile shows the 62.4%, which is like double of the concentration of the normal marrow cells. I also calculate the CD34 level. So we know that CD34 level, they are present in the less amount in the cirrhotic patient as compared to the control, and also calculated the ROS level, which is much higher as compared to the control cell CD34. This is 18.2% in the control CD34. The ROS percentage is 18.2, and in the cirrhotic patient, it is 78.3% ROS in the CD34 cells, which is really very high. So increased ROS can cause permanent cytoskeleton structural damage, may result in the shorter lifespan of a cell. So if there is an increased ROS, then there is the lifespan of the RBC will get reduced when it comes into the peripheral blood. There are paper that published in the 2018 that says that the ROS involvement in the RBC damage in CKD disease. So they showed the internal oxidative stress can degrade the hemoglobin molecule, and both internal and external oxidative stress, they can damage the cytoskeleton of the RBC and make it unstable. So unstable membrane of the RBC will easily get lysed into the peripheral blood because the cytoskeleton is already damaged due to the denaturation or denaturation. My third objective to confirm this, I study the functional competency of this CD34 cells isolated from the cirrhotic and the control group. So I isolated the CD34 cells from micromagnetic bead array and culture it in the erythroid specific medium till day 18. And after that, I check through the facts, I check the expression of the marker and stages on different diseases. The media I used is phase 1 media. In phase 1 media, the cells stays for 4 to 5 days. In that time period, they proliferate, and after that, they transfer into the phase 2 media, that is for maturation. The difference in both the media is that in phase 2 media, it is erythropoietin is present, and for the iron content, ferric sulfate and ferric nitrate are present. That helps in the maturation of the cells. So after day 6, when before transferring into the phase 2 media, I found that most of the CD34, like 75% of the CD34, they start showing the CD71 positive marker, means they are converting into the early erythroid progenitors. So after day 6, I then transfer these cells into the phase 2 media and check on the expression of CD235 because it containing the EP and iron content that helps these CD71 for the maturation. And I found that on day 8, there's some population that comes into the dual positivity area. Like here is a 235A maturation marker and early progenitor. So they started going in that direction. And on day 11, I found that 7.8% of the cells, they start coming in this area. So means from the proliferation state, they are coming into the differentiation state. And by day 14, they have a lot of, most of the cells, they come into the dual positivity area, means they are showing both the markers, CD71 positive and CD235A. So they are actually follow the normal erythropoiesis process. And this is the culture picture. You can see how the cells proliferate, means when they're in proliferation media, they proliferate very vigorously. But when we put the cell into phase 2 media, because because of the EPO, some apoptotic death happens. But after that, the remaining cells again proliferate and go in maturation. Then I seeded CD34 cells from the CLD ethanol patient's bone marrow. And I found that on day 3, they start showing the CD235A marker, which is the maturation marker. Means these cells showing early, these are showing the early, in early stages, they're showing the CD235, which is the maturation marker on day 3, when the cells are still in phase 1 media. So when they transfer into the phase 2 media, before transferring on day 5, I again did back and again checked. The expression of the mature marker is also getting increasing. But when these cells are transferred into the phase 2 media, they start dying. You can see here, after day 5, they are transferred to the phase 2 media. On day 9, this is the picture you can see here. They lost the expression of 235A, and after day 9, they start going into the cell death. So the CD71 positive expression is also found to be decreased after that. So you can see here on day 0, I seeded these much of cells. On day 3, they start proliferating and reaches up to the 14 lakh. And after that, when I transfer into the phase 2 media, they go. Same thing I saw in CLD NASH patient CD34. They start showing early, in a very early phase, the maturation marker. This is really a mystery for me, why they are showing in the phase 1 medium, they are showing the maturation marker. And after when I transfer into phase 2 media, they going into the cell death. So in cirrhotic CD34 positive cells show early expression of erythroid marker with increased cell death in phase 2 media of erythroid-specific differentiation media. In normal erythropoiesis process, the cells first proliferate. Then when they go into the maturation, they first, the few cells go in apoptosis, and rest of the cells then again proliferate and mature. But in ineffective erythropoiesis or kind of dyserythropoiesis, they proliferate a lot, then again go on apoptosis, but their maturation is comparatively very low. But in my case, I did not see any maturation. I just see the cell death when they come into the phase 2 media. The one thing is EPO, when EPO binds to the EPO receptor, it generates the reactive oxygen species in the erythroid cell. And these ROS is required for the maturation of the cells. But these cirrhotic CD34 already present with a lot of ROS. So I just think if ROS is again producing when transferred into the phase 2 media, maybe this can be a factor that leads the cell to the cell death. This is a schematic diagram that shows that iron or heme protein, when enters into the cell, this iron then taken by the ALS enzyme that uses this iron to form the heme component, and this heme component then come into the cytosol to combine with the globin protein to make a complete hemoglobin molecule. And this heme oxygenase 1 and 2 isoenzymes are the enzymes that present in the cytosol of the erythroid cell. The function of this heme oxygenase is that it degrades the excess heme in the cell into the biliverdin, carbon monoxide, and iron that will excrete out from the cell. Again, this FLVCR is a exporter of the cell that again export the excess heme from the cell. So I did the real-time analysis and checked the gene expressions of the genes that are related to the hemoglobin synthesis. I just wanted to know if there is any down regulation or up regulation, abnormal expression of the genes that are forming hemoglobin. So I found that ALSA1 and ALSA1 expression was down regulated, but the expression of ALSA2 is very high. Other side, the HOMOX1, which is required for the excess heme degradation, its expression is also found to be decreased. The expression of EPO receptor was found to be normal, but again, second isoism found the decreased expression. In the alpha globin 1 protein, expression was also down, and the FLVCR receptor expression was also found to be decreased when compared to the normal, which is also required for the excess heme export. BAC1 is a transcription factor which is required for the ROS neutralization. So if there is an excess heme in the cell, it will bind to this transcription factor and inhibit its function. So this abnormal expression of the genes I found. So maybe there is hemoglobin. There is some defect in the hemoglobin formation that happening inside these stressed erythrocytes. Conclusion: FACS analysis of CLD bone marrow cells showed decreased expression of CD71 and CD235A marker, which is directly correlated with the hemoglobin levels. In cirrhotic, CD34, CD71, and the mature marker CD235A cells showed increased level of ROS as compared with the control marrow. Gene expression of ALSA2 was significantly high, whereas BAC1, HMOX1, 2, and alpha globin 1 and FLVCR was found to be decreased. In erythroid culture of cirrhotic bone marrow, the CD235A maturation marker expression appeared early in phase 1 media, and once it is transferred to the EPO and iron-containing phase 2 medium, apoptotic death of the cells was happened. Whereas in control erythroid culture, these markers appeared after day 8, when because these are the CD235 the maturation marker, and it should be appear when it transferred to the maturation medium. So when cells transfer to the EPO and contain, they go very well. But I found defect in the culturing of the cirrhotic bone marrow cells. Future perspective, the things which I have to do or remaining, few things are in going. So examine heme level in the erythroid cells. Second, proteomics and metabolomics analysis of CD71 positive erythroid cells that will be sorted out through the fax machine, and to measure the cytokines level in the cirrhotic bone marrow plasma. Thank you.